Hey, good morning, guys. It was great seeing y'all yesterday. I wanted to make a quick video just to help, especially our folks who come out of clinical fields, to help them make the mental transition from how they were previously trained to how we think as a behavioral scientist. So, and it's a little bit different. And sometimes making that switch is challenging. And so as I make this video, I'm particularly thinking about Ashley, Veronica, and Juan, although there are certainly others in our class who this probably applies to as well, right? But Juan is interested in diabetes, right? As a physician, that's how he's trained to go in and how do I treat diabetes, right? How do I cure you of diabetes? Juan is very much interested in this health outcome and disease state. Ashley and Veronica coming from the mental health fields, right? Veronica's like, how do I treat you and cure your eating disorder, right? Ashley is very much concerned with how do I eliminate your suicidality, right? They're all very focused on this health outcome in this disease state. How do I resolve that disease state? That's how they're trained as clinicians, right? As a behavioral scientist, while we acknowledge that disease state, it is not our focus. And this is a really important mental shift, right? In behavioral sciences, we assume that a health outcome and disease state impacts people's quality of life. And that instead of treating the disease state like a physician might do or a mental health provider might do, we're not doing that. We ultimately are not focused on the disease state. Not what we do. We enter the model right here, these last two sections, behavior change and theoretical constructs. The assumption that we make in our field is that if I can change your behavior, that will ultimately have an outcome that will change the disease state, right? So our modality of affecting someone's health outcome is to focus on behavior change. A physician is going to intervene right here, right? They're not going to focus on the behavior change as much. They're going to focus on acute care. Let me get in there and let me treat this. Let me get your diabetes under control, right? Let me lower your labs and get everything in order, right? Not what we care about. Not focused on labs. Not our priority in behavioral sciences. In behavioral sciences, we say, okay, if I can change someone's eating habits and exercise patterns and make that a long-term sustained behavior change, then ultimately that's going to improve their diabetes management, right? But this is not our focus. We basically acknowledge the blue and the yellow box and then we ignore them. And so we begin our work right here in the gray box. And we say, I'm going to change this behavior by paying attention to theoretical constructs. So it's kind of a distal model, right? From a physician, right? Or from a mental health care provider. And that's a hard shift. But if you can make that shift, that's going to help you not only in my class, but in all the classes in your degree plan. All right. So focus here on the orange box with your outcome being the gray box. Hope that helps.